Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Today we do have a number of economic files and we are going to discuss the latest efforts exerted by the state to move forward with our economy. And here I'm talking about so many files, whether it's localizing industry, increasing exports, paving the way for more foreign direct investment, or to make sure that being included into such an economic group like BRICS, for example, this is going to be for the best interest of all. I mean, using local currencies in signing deals and implementing these deals on the ground. Is it something applicable? Is it something which can take place on the ground? It took place already on the ground. These are things which we are going to discuss together. And we do have also today, there was some inaugurations in the 10th of Ramadan city as Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli was keen to go himself and to inaugurate specific factories, and I think it's going to be of the first here in Egypt or in Africa regarding home appliances. And also Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati for the very first time also participated in a round table discussion to discuss support for the private sector and increasing Egyptian exports and investments, meaning that economic diplomacy is going also to be part of our episode. All this and more is going to be included tonight, and we're going to start immediately right after the short break, so stay tuned.
Egypt and China are considered among the oldest and richest civilizations in the world, and the two civilizations have intersected throughout the ages in trade and culture. With the establishment of the People's Republic of China in October 1949 and the success of the July 1952 revolution in Egypt, the two countries' orientations converged in defending the causes of the Third World. President Gamal Abdel Nasser and Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai met on several occasions, Rangoon and Bandung, followed by the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries on May 30, 1956, making Egypt the first Arab and African country to establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. China is one of Egypt's largest trading partners. Trade between the two countries reached approximately $30 billion in 2023, and Egypt is witnessing a continuous boom in Chinese investments, particularly in the fields of energy, communications, information technology, and infrastructure. Economic relations do not stop at trade and investment. Egypt is China's gateway to Africa, allowing Chinese companies to implement their projects on the continent through Egypt. Egypt is also one of the founding and supporting countries of the Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to connect the three continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe. In addition, Egypt seeks to implement the initiative's projects, particularly in the maritime and land transport sectors. The Suez Canal project, which opened in 2019 as a logistics center for the transit of ships and goods, is among the objectives of the Belt and Road Initiative. In light of the distinguished relations between Egypt and China, Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, participated in the activities of the Egyptian-Chinese Business Forum, held under the title Pillars of Partnership, Investment and Business Dialogue between Egypt and China. The minister was informed that Egypt now allows Chinese companies to register using the Chinese currency, the yuan, in financial transactions with the support of the Central Bank of Egypt. The Egyptian investment law also allows 100% foreign ownership and provides equal treatment for local and foreign investors. The forum witnessed the participation of 200 major Chinese companies and industrial associations from various sectors. most notably new and renewable energy, the automotive industry, textiles, infrastructure, tires and auto components, agricultural crops, equipment and machinery, home appliances and electronics, pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical products, the leather industry, and other key sectors targeted for attracting investment to Egypt. During the forum, the minister delivered a presentation titled Egypt's New Narrative, in which he reviewed the most important features of Egypt's positive economic transformation and the reforms the state is adopting to attract foreign direct investment and improve competitiveness and the business environment. He also reviewed the most important investment incentives in Egypt. The minister stated that his visit to China comes at a time when the world is witnessing rapid changes and common challenges, which reinforces the importance of the partnership between Egypt and China. He pointed out that the relationship between the two countries is based on solid foundations of multi-dimensional cooperation, extending from cultural roots to distinguished political relations and comprehensive economic partnership. In a related context, Cairo is anticipating a new visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping, nearly 9 years after his last visit. The visit coincides with ongoing global trade and geopolitical tensions, and both Cairo and Beijing are counting on this visit to strengthen trade and investment relations between the two countries. China is one of Egypt's largest trading partners, especially with the elevation of bilateral relations to a strategic partnership. Total trade between Cairo and Beijing increased by 11.3% to $15.9 billion in 2024. Egypt seeks to attract more Chinese investments, particularly in the Suez Canal Economic Zone, where 2,800 Chinese companies are located, investing more than $8 billion. Will this visit contribute to strengthening Egyptian-Chinese rapprochement? Several major Chinese industrial entities are preparing to enter the Egyptian market in the automotive and office equipment industries, in addition to a massive agricultural project in Toshka that aims to reclaim 1 million acres using the latest Chinese agricultural technologies.
Welcome back. As we said earlier, we do have a lot of economic files, but before we start, let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Professor Mohamed Mokhtar, Economic Project and International Cooperation Consultant. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
I am very glad to join your program first today.
And if you permit me, we are going to start with the Foreign Minister, with His Excellency Minister Badr Abdel-Ati, who participated for the first time in the roundtable hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, dedicated to discuss support for the private sector and increasing Egyptian exports and investments. Because I think that all the files of today are going to be focusing on how to give the lion's share of our economic progress to the private sector. Here we are talking about economic diplomacy, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yes, of course, since we need to appreciate the effort of Minister Abdel-Ati, the transferings to economy actions, which is take these files and changing the diplomatics related to that, and he is trying to pushing abroad in several ways and several countries related to the gaining and win-win situations between these countries, especially reference to what's going on in the whole world. So our President and the Ministry of Affairs try to open several deep channels abroad related to win-win, related to also the needs and upgrading and what's happening in the world. Since the last war is going right now, Russian and also Ukraine, and what's happening in Iran, what's happening in Palestine, we need to changing in our view and our missions related to that. He's taken really a good file and good action related to that, with reference to the needs and what we call it, that the upgrading in what's happening in the world.
Mhm. And for example, or this is one of the examples which we witnessed today, as His Excellency Minister Abdelati received his Austrian counterpart, and they held talks tackling a number of issues of mutual concern, and they also focused on the investment and economic cooperation. He mentioned also the fields of cooperation like renewable
deep on that.
energy,
Yeah,
clean
of course.
energy, transportation, logistics, and he said that it's time to focus on or to benefit from our friendly nations' experience in such domains or in such fields, and to have a win-win situation. How do you see this as the strategy of Egypt right now when it comes to this?
The strategy has been changed related to that, and ministry like Minister Abdelati to taking that things to get in deep, to get in fact, to get in action, and changing the view and the mission which I mentioned in my first questions. He's looking to deep to action. Don't say that we just diplomatic things. No, he's gone deep on that. He looking to changing in our files related to our corporate countries and our friends, frankly, in the world. And Minister Abdelati looking deep on that, looking also to add action, to saving things, not just the diplomatic things, not just the paper and appointments and meetings with our channels and our community. No, he need to achieve really active economy, community related to our friends or our relation countries. No, and get this deep, get these facts, not just a general economy. And he's not also transferring to other minister. No, he is starting from himself, achieving the things, then he push it to the coming step, I mean in signatures. But he's all the world or all this file, he's taking care of it. And the Minister of Affairs looking also for deep reference to the needs of Egypt, and don't want to depend on one or two countries. We make several channels, several community, and he's taking care about made in Egypt. By the way, we need to have a made in Egypt, and he's pushing one of the persons that we are achieving now in industry more than, as we before discussed before the on air, more than 60 or 65% in the industry made in Egypt. I mean, the source become here in Egypt to savings and to have our industry.
Yes, sir. And if you permit me, because we do have a lot of files to discuss, we are going to go to the 10th of Ramadan, as Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli inaugurated today the first factory in Egypt and third in Africa for home appliances, and also the largest e-commerce logistics hub for a leading technology company in Africa, which is located on the Suez Road. Sir, we have here two projects. Two issues, yes, and two projects, of course. First, to be a pioneer in Africa. This is the third in Africa and first in Egypt. Second, e-commerce. The letter E, when it's there, it means that we are coping with the latest. And we are all the time making sure that we are not less at all than any developed country. And here, when it comes to industry, we focus on that because what I'm going to focus on the statements of the Prime Minister in the press conference after his tour. If you want to start with this.
I need to comment on that. Preface to the First Minister, Dr. Madbouli, we now pushing Egypt because it's the gate of Africa, the gate of the world. I can mention that. Egypt is the gate of the world. So it's time to moving industry, to moving technology. And we have also the Minister of Technology and Informations. We have several call centers here in Egypt. We have several industries. As we told it, we also, the Minister, the First Minister and the President and all the Minister pushing to have a local industry pioneering in the world. I mean in Africa, first of all, then to go attack to the world. Because we have several, gaining things. People's know-how. If we just need, cooperative with the good community and good companies like we have in for two issues which happens today. The First Minister had to open it. That's mean that we are in. We time to move, time to get attacked the whole market and the e-commerce. Egypt is very, very located in the place and the peoples. You get everything. You get any keys.
The labor force, the location, you name it.
Everything.
And to echo what you have said, sir, in the press conference which followed the inauguration, Prime Minister Madbouli emphasized that the state considers industrial development, technology, innovation as key pillars of development and economic growth.
This is the key. This is the common features. And the API, of course. So it's now we need to suitable these projects and these issues to get more future-wise, to be on the map, on the coming map, we mentioned that.
Amen to that, sir. And to continue with that, as we were chatting before being on air about localizing industry and about the incentives introduced by the state for the manufacturers. If they use more than 60 to 65% of the local components, they are going to receive these incentives.
Cool.
How do you see this as a step forward on the right path?
For example, to show everybody is following us, if you don't have this material or this component, something going to happen related to crisis management, which has happened, or what is going in the world, and it's happened. If you don't have the material and components, what this factor will do? Will stop. If you don't have, I mean, more than 60 or than that, or achieving more, and we're good in steps and future-wise and planning for that, we don't have this this manufacturing. We don't have this what we say solutions and these issues. This industry need to have well planning, have your own components is in or related to get it easier to manufacturing or to do these products. Also, you should have a keys and eyes around the world related to this industry. If you don't achieve your all things is needs, how to get in? For example, also in the farming, you need a food. If you don't have the earth to put the food in it and get to gaining and grow it, you don't have food. Industry mean some elements. You should have this element. You should have all the needs of this industry. So if you get it planning well, this component is in. What we need? Nothing. And the manpower is in. And everything's
to use our local resources,
of course,
and to make sure that we do have the qualified cadres. And here, sir, I'm going to take you to the lion's share of this episode, which is going to be totally dedicated to our local currencies. Since Egypt joined the BRICS, there were many media reports speaking about using our local currencies within the group. And here we do have two pieces of news. Egypt allows Chinese companies to use the yuan and 100% foreign ownership. And to Russia, Russia shifts Egypt's debt on nuclear loan repayments to ruble. Before going into details, how do you see the concept?
I see the concept, first of all, we need to ask everybody watching us, asking ourselves, why China, why Russia? What we did it and what we do with China's projects here in Egypt, it's a huge. One of it, wind stations. We have more than Ras Gharib, 500 megawatt project related to electricity and saving energy. And also with Dab'a, with Russian, huge station related to power source station. The first minister and even the president and the minister of electric and power and energy is, by the way, is working in China. Maybe he will come today. Then since 2 days we were there in China, pushing also with the minister of investment to pushing these things. If you open the market for the clear, what's this news mentioned, you now open a future. You open a project, you open a standard, and you also have to achieve industry, to achieving industry. We're gaining also by this huge project. I mean, if we now, for example, in international project and in international companies, we add our experience knowledge. For example, I have 25 years, and you maybe have on the same. How much will it be? 15 years. So the gaining and sharing experience from the foreigners, from several projects. So if the China have, maybe China is the future. China was getting the state to the most of the project. Most of the industry was in the States. It was by China, by the way, and all the world, and also even Europe. China have technology, techniques, have several things, and also manpower. If we're sharing them and getting from them experience and knowledge, this is the action by our president to open to them. Let them come, let them opening and going more and more in investment and economy. If you try to push the economy, make your market is open. Don't close your market. Related to the relation, related to, the Minister of Affairs also, the diplomatic things, depend on several points.
And to be invited into the Egyptian-Chinese Business Forum, I mean, many ministers were there, as Professor Mokhtar said, and here we're talking about Minister of Investment, Dr. Hassan Al-Khatib. We are going also to quote some of his statements which were released in his speech addressing the gathering regarding the golden license, regarding the tax, regarding the incentives, regarding efforts exerted by the state to attract more investors. But here, sir, before going into these details, if you permit me, with the trade war between the United States and China, and this is the way they are expressing or describing the issue, it's not mine, and with the tariffs imposed on by the United States on the Chinese commodities, as well as commodities from other parts of the world or other states. Do you think that this is an opportunity for other parts or for other sides like us to make sure that we can invite investors from China, the private sector from China, the private sector of Europe or many other countries to invest here, and to try to make sure that this is going to be an opportunity for us which we cannot miss?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. And this is what we're doing right now. Especially, you know, that our manpower here has become less than the China. So it's time to moving industry, to moving and shifting economy, to moving and starting new open market in Egypt. Gaining the place of Egypt. Egypt is getting back on the map. I mentioned that. I mentioned this word. And have all the authority, have all the needs. Just what we need, a management, a vision, pushing the vision and mission of us, and to have what we said, a community also related to high communication to the president, the first ministry, and the direct to the ministry or
to have contacts on all levels.
Yes, yes,
Great.
Of course.
But
and also there is what we said, a union, China's union, European Union, and also some of organizations and foundations working in that. For example, Japan have like a JICA, like a foundation related to that, JICA. So these things is trying to implementing the economy, found this problem and solving. And if this community and world is going a little bit faster, I mean, Egypt could be 2 or 3 years as maximum is on. And we need to be on. And we have all the things to be on.
But sir, I cannot separate politics from economy.
Of course.
And when it comes to using our local currency, this is an issue which needs a lot of studies, and to make sure that we are on the right track, evaluating the consequences, because this is something which is not going to be favorable for some sides. Here I'm not going to mention any.
And who's watching us understanding what is the meaning under.
But in the same time, it's our best interest.
Yes.
And we should work for our best interest. And if this is the way, so it's a road where we should go in. It's a market which we should invade. How do you see the equation?
The equation is, for example, especially for anybody watching this, if you now are the famous like you, sir, I would like to be joining. If I'm with high people, I'll be in. Opening this currency, working in different type of currency related to the world needs, like China, like Russian, we are getting with them. It's become a top of the country. I mean, in technology, in techniques, not top on things, we are top also. I'm sure of that. But the thing is, open the market related to needs and win-win and gaining. And for example, if we are moving that and who's taking action related to our country, that's mean what? We become as the same to the same, face to face, like we say, in the China and Russian. because the same currency will be on our bound, and them currency will become the same, come related to need of us. That's pushing and open and creating and increasing our economy, of course. And it's supposed going to the both sides, but it needs also for everybody is charging on that to keep an eyes in our country, to keep it on the gaining way, on the positive way, and taking care of the negative way, to then getting down.
To be flexible enough,
Of course,
to eliminate any obstacle on the way,
could happen.
and to make sure that if there's something which needs modification, it's going to be modified
Yes,
on the ground, on the spot. And here, sir, if
And
you...
I would like to add something very
Sure.
important related to crisis management.
Yeah.
We have a plan A and B and C. Before we get in something, we should have all the types and all the scenario.
And the worst case scenario, sure. Minister of Investment Hassan Al-Khatib, of course, addressed the Egyptian-Chinese Business Forum, and he explained the government offering competitive tax incentives, launch of unified digital licensing platform for investors to accelerate investment procedures, achieving transparency, and enhancing investor confidence in the Egyptian business environment. And this is, of course, addressed, and this is of course directed to the whole world, but this is a message sent from China, from Beijing. How do you see these elements which I mentioned, and to all the time and in all occasions mentioning the golden license in specific as a way to attract more foreign direct investment?
For example, in international market, and what we say, it's become the global market. And any related message for somebody like China or Russian or whatever the country, which is giving the golden, you know, all the other country is looking for it. Why? If them in there, them give them a message, that's why we cannot be like them. Why we're not in? That means it will be, make our market is gravitated market. And related to the upgrading in the economy, and also the process, and also in related to the affairs, international affairs, there is a country we say that it's a gate or it's a point. Egypt is one of the point elements in the world. So all the international companies and countries is looking to have a business in Egypt. But what we did it and what we try to achieve, it's mean the progress to get them in and give a clear message for every industry or every saving issues or project are become valid. This is a good message to all other to become. We try to open, we not to get out of the market. We need to gravitate more countries, more business. So this is the becoming world. It is the becoming future for us. If we need the economy, open the market, but with good caring.
Can I say that what you're saying, sir, is a calculated risk?
Yes, yes, it will be. You get the clear message, calculated risk, reference to the positive and the negative, the gaining and the benefits and the unbenefits. And also, and I see that, of course, from Mr. Abdul Ati and the President and the First Minister, we really give a message, maybe daily, for all the area, what is Egypt going on, or the future-wise, or what Egypt is going. And we dedicate it with the scenario reference to what's happening in the world.
I think the message, sir, is that Egypt is going on the right direction, and inshallah nothing is going to hinder Egypt's development path.
Inshallah.
Despite the fact that all the world was really keen to see what's going to happen in the Middle East after the latest incidents. You know, today there was a very important meeting as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with the civil aviation minister, for example, and he was really keen to commend the air navigation controllers of Egypt, who were able to control our skies even at a time when this latest crisis resulted in the closure of the airspace of neighboring countries, and because of that 16,000 flights were flying over the Egyptian skies daily because of that. And the international organizations really commended and hailed the Egyptian performance in such a crisis. This is another issue.
The last visit of Mr. Macron, the President Macron, and the first minister, consultant for Germany, the first visit, it was in Egypt. After he signed in Germany, he became to visit Egypt.
And by the way, the Austrian top
Austrian, yeah.
diplomat,
Yes.
she is here starting a tour in the Middle East, but she decided that Egypt is going to be the first stop. Returning back to numbers, because I really like numbers, sir, when it comes to economy, and to return back to the speech of His Excellency Minister of Investment Hassan Al-Khatib in the Egyptian-Chinese Business Forum, which was held in Beijing. The minister noted that Egypt's Vision 2030 aims to place Egypt among the top 30 countries globally.
Yes.
in development indicators by achieving comprehensive and sustainable growth. How do you see among the top 30? And how do you see also the word sustainable? Because without sustainability, nothing is going to be considered as a story of success when it comes to economy. If you agree with me on that.
Yes, of course I agree. And you mentioned is economy mean currency, mean numbers. Economy mean numbers. That's why we did it. Reference to the upgrading policy and procedures related to the progress of economy. Reference to how to gravitate countries and business to become in Egypt. And the golden permit for any new project. And is very special. If you have to do any project directly, there is a commitment is open with directly to the First Minister related to anyone trying to invest in Egypt. From Arab country, from European, from China, from anywhere. And there is what we say, monthly report from every minister related to the First Minister, related to the President, reference to all the project and the investment. And there is a task, and I cannot mention that because we're just talking in general purpose. I cannot allow to talk in something like this, but there is a report with numbers and currency from every minister and to the director.
There is the monthly sustainability report and
Yes,
the annual sustainability
of
report
course,
introduced
What we
by
achieve.
every governmental entity,
Yes,
whether
yes,
it's
of course, of
a
course.
ministry or another institution.
As
But
anyone in the business, we do that. In the
Yes,
business,
you mentioned
international
that,
company and
yeah.
organization. I have a task and I have a target. I should achieve it monthly. And I mentioned that we're increasing the target or letting the target. What is the problems? How we achieve it? The crisis management happen? Did we have some scenario? The bad scenario is happening, and how we pass it? We need a corrective. We need the SWOT analysis, for example. So that is working with the minister and the government. And really, reference to my traveling abroad, I see Egypt is doing like that. Egypt is open and getting the new visions and missions and only upgrading happen to the society, to the community, to the world, to take it and achieve it and put it on track to let Egypt.
And the term open market, I think it's repeated now and then. And here, returning back to His Excellency Minister Al-Khatib's address, he emphasized that the vision opens up promising investment opportunities for Chinese companies to implement joint projects with strategic returns for both sides.
Yes.
For both sides, again, a win-win situation. But here, sir, if you permit me, I want to focus on the small and medium enterprises. Because, of course, we are very much proud for our mega projects, which are really a leap when it comes to our economic process. But no economy can develop without the small and medium enterprises. How do you see taking this into consideration when it comes to our economic development in general?
First of all, we need to get back for something that the last visit for our president to China, and he will not be able to allow to mention the companies as we was talking on air. He said with the most top 5 or 6 companies have our working in a project in Egypt, and he had listened to them carefully. And this message has to pass to the First Minister and all the ministers. And as you mentioned, the Ministry of Investment, Dr. Sharif, had to see and pushing the things and open another project and another, we say, gravitate more Chinese business to be in. That is the meaning. And you know, the direct contact is always is the first, is important. And plus communication is we're talking about the church person, and the church person is listening up and taking it and achieve it, and then it's very related to the economy. It's very related to the future wise of Egypt, and that's what we have from this visit. And this visit is the gaining, and what we say is to complete the cycle, reference to the last visit from our president, to push these things on track. And getting what is the, maybe the holding things, what is the things that are not able to let it in. I mean that we don't have this before. I mean, we was have missing some many communication, and we try to see what's what we say, learning from the past, and get the future wise is totally different reference to the needs.
We are running out of time, so we are going to go in brief to the issue regarding Russia shifting Egypt's طبعا nuclear loan payments to ruble. Russian President Vladimir Putin ratified this amendment to the agreement with Egypt regarding the terms of repayment for the loan financing of Al Daba nuclear plant. And of course, Al Daba nuclear plant is expected to deliver significant benefits to the Egyptian economy. This is another side of the coin, if you want to elaborate on it, sir, regarding the Egyptian-Russian relations implemented in this project, Al Daba nuclear plant.
It's very, very important nuclear Daba plant, and it was holding for a little while, and now it's time to
back on track.
Yeah, yes, of course, back on track, and back to let it in, and the future-wise, and the agreement between Egypt and Russian to let it in the less time to be on opening of it, and there is what we say, it's the gift from Russian to let these things becoming, I mean, our the financial wise. That's why Egypt taking this gain and taking this gift and let approve to working with Russian currency, and this is the gaining, win and win, gaining and gaining. This is the business.
In fact, we do have historic ties with a number of states all over the world, and Egypt is all the time working for peace and the prosperity of all. And since we do have our foreign relations based on mutual respect and win-win situation, as you kindly mentioned, then this is it. This is our goal. Well, Professor Mohamed Mokhtar, Economic Projects and International Cooperation Consultant, thank you very much for your input, sir, and I really enjoyed our discussion. Thank you.
I was very glad to be joined, and I give a message for everybody, reference to the 13th of this month. Be very sure of your countries, sure of your people who is trying to work in it, and asking God and working first on yourself, and try to be ambassador for your country related to whatever, wherever your job is small, but try to work on yourself and your family, and of course the country will be going in the good future. Egypt will be, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Well, by this we come to the end of our episode. Stay tuned on Nile TV International always for more. Now I'm going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Then we'll meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nurmeen Abdurrahman.
The Toshka-Farafra Giza Road passes through the most important national projects in Toshka: East, Awaynat, Dakhla, Farafra, Kharga, Paris and Baghdad. Its area is 2,000 kilometers, including 1,400 kilometers within the new valley governorate. The road was constructed at the highest standards to create a world-class agro-industrial community in the Western Desert, where 5 million acres of cultivated desert land are under cultivation. The Egyptian government is placing an unprecedented emphasis on developing the electronics industry. Egypt is actively seeking to localize this industry and transform Egypt into a regional hub for electronics manufacturing and export. This is achieved by providing facilities and incentives to attract international companies operating in various technology fields, such as mobile phones and electronics design, and establishing headquarters there. In an unprecedented move, Egypt is preparing to launch the first tourist cable car linking the Grand Egyptian Museum to the Giza Pyramids. This project is the first of its kind in the region. This massive project is scheduled to begin operating within the next 6 months, coinciding with the official opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum. The project aims to enhance the visitor experience through a modern and sustainable means of transportation, while preserving the historical and cultural character of the region. Gold reserves have been of great importance to central banks around the world. In light of global economic and political instability, gold remains a safe haven for countries. African central banks have continued to significantly increase their gold reserves. Egypt ranks third in gold reserves in Africa, with a total of 128 tons. Ghana ranks fourth with a total of 31.01 tons, followed by Mauritius with approximately 12.42 tons, Tunisia with a total of 6.84 tons, and Kenya with approximately 0.02 tons. From Egyptian fields to global store shelves, Russia and the United States are in fierce competition for a larger share of Egyptian potatoes, which have become the focus of an international trade dispute. Russia imports fresh potatoes, while the United States imports frozen potatoes. Russia is the largest market for fresh Egyptian potatoes, importing approximately 351,000 tons in the 2024-2025 export season, representing approximately 32% of Egypt's total fresh potato exports, 1.08 million tons. Meanwhile, the United States imports approximately $27 million worth of Egyptian frozen potatoes, making it the second largest importer of this product after Jordan, $30 million. This reflects Egypt's position as a major exporter of frozen potatoes. The Cabinet's Media Center published a report reviewing the state's efforts to expand sugar crop cultivation and support related industries, putting Egypt on the cusp of achieving self-sufficiency in sugar, an important strategic commodity. The report indicated an increase in sugar production over the past decade, reaching 2.6 million tons in 2025, compared to 2.3 million tons in 2014, with production expected to increase to 2.9 million tons in 2026. As part of the state's efforts to support and localize industry, particularly in the renewable energy sector and battery-based energy storage technologies, and following his arrival in the People's Republic of China to participate in the Shanghai Conference on Renewable Energy and Clean Energy Solutions, Dr. Mahmoud Asmat, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, initiated meetings with companies operating in the fields of manufacturing renewable energy equipment, control devices, energy storage batteries, and electric charging systems. The meeting discussed the mechanism for localizing the sector, manufacturing energy storage batteries, and establishing a factory in Egypt, as well as solar-powered electrical equipment. The Ready-Made Garments Export Council announced a 24% increase in sector exports, reaching $1.346 billion compared to $1.083 billion during the same period last year. In its monthly report, the Council indicated that this growth is an extension of the positive performance achieved by the sector in recent months. May exports reached $321 million compared to $243 million in May 2024, an increase of 32%, approaching the highest monthly rate recorded this year in February, with a growth rate of 33%. Ahmad Hafiz, head of the Export Council for Building Materials and Metal Industries in Egypt, announced that the Council has received inquiries from approximately 20 Arab and foreign companies to implement a series of projects in the building materials sector in Egypt in the coming period. He explained that the value of these projects exceeds billions of pounds, including the establishment of factories for iron, building materials and sanitary ware.